All right, let's dive right in. We're talking about one of the most polarizing figures in football history, Cristiano Ronaldo. It's a story that's full of contradictions, and honestly, it gets pretty complex.
Yeah, you've heard this one, right? Selfish. It's like the go-to word people throw around when they're talking about him and how he plays.
And then there's this one. It feels like people are always saying he's finished. You see it all the time. Critics just seem eager, almost waiting to write him off, especially now in the later part of his career.
And to top it all off, he's a problem. That's the narrative, right? That he's this disruptive force, this superstar ego that actually hurts the team. So, selfish, finished, a problem. That's the easy headline.
But what if that easy headline is just wrong? What if we've all been missing the bigger picture? That's what this explainer is all about. We're going to challenge that whole story by actually looking at the facts and tracking how this guy became a legend in the first place.
Okay, so this is where it gets really interesting. At the very core of his career, there's this huge paradox. You've got two totally conflicting stories being told about the exact same guy.
And I mean, look at this. The disconnect is just wild. On one hand, the numbers are insane. We're talking 5 Ballon d'Ors, over 800 career goals, championships in 3 of the toughest leagues in the world. You just can't argue with those stats. But then, on the other hand, you have this constant story that he's the problem. So, how on earth can both of those things be true at the same time?
Okay, to really get this, we've got to break down that common narrative. Let's look at the arguments you always hear, the story that the media just loves to run with.
So what are they? Well, you know the list. He only scores goals. He disrupts the team's structure. He's got a superstar ego. He just doesn't fit into modern football. Look, these narratives are catchy, they're powerful, but that doesn't make them right. These simple little labels completely miss what's actually going on. So let's flip the script. Let's build a totally different picture here. Because if you really want to understand Ronaldo, you have to look at how he's changed, how he's evolved on the pitch for like 20 years.
I mean, think about it. He hasn't just been one player. He's been like 3 different players in one career. He burst onto the scene at Man United as this flashy, explosive winger. Then he goes to Real Madrid and morphs into this elite movement specialist, an inside forward scoring goals at a rate that was just frankly ridiculous. And now, in the later years, he's reinvented himself again, becoming the ultimate poacher, an apex predator in the box. That's not a player in decline. That is incredibly smart adaptation.
And that right there, that gets us to the absolute core of why so many people get him wrong, tactically speaking. It all comes down to what kind of player he is.
So, in today's game, everyone is obsessed with system players. You know the type, right? The player who fits perfectly into the coach's grand plan, they execute the press exactly right, they hold their position, they're like a perfect, brilliant piece in a bigger machine.
But Ronaldo, he's the complete opposite. He's not a system player, he's a solution player. You don't ask him to fit into your system, you build the system around him to solve the hardest problem in the entire sport, scoring goals, over and over again. He's not a cog in the machine, he's the whole reason the machine wins.
So you see, the flaw isn't the player. The flaw is in the expectation. It's expecting a unique, game-winning solution to act like just another interchangeable part. And history shows us when a team builds the system around him, he delivers, big time. It's when they try to jam him into a role he's not built for that things get messy. And that's a tactical truth that, for some reason, a lot of people just don't seem to get.
All right, let's move on to the big one, the one everyone loves to talk about, the ego.
It's so easy to call it arrogance, but what if it's not? What if it's just the rock-solid, unwavering confidence you need to have to be the best? And that ego, maybe it's just an elite, world-class winning mentality, the kind that literally cannot stand to lose. And the selfishness? Look closer. It's an insane level of discipline. It's demanding the absolute best from yourself, and yeah, from your teammates too. That's not a flaw. That's the fuel that powered 2 decades of being at the top.
And that brings us to the last piece of the puzzle. And honestly, this one might be the most unfair of all.
You know, football has a terrible memory. When a legend gets older, we do something kind of weird. We stop comparing them to the guys they're playing against today. Instead, we start comparing them to a ghost, the ghost of their own prime. For Ronaldo, he's constantly being judged against the 28-year-old version of himself, which is, well, it's an impossible standard for anyone.
So, what's the big takeaway here? Why does this whole thing even matter? Well, because he represents something huge. He proves that you can have extreme longevity in a brutal sport, if you have the discipline. He shows that greatness isn't just a gift you're born with. It can be trained,
it can be built. And maybe most of all, he's living proof that a winning mentality can go toe-to-toe with raw talent any day of the week.
So maybe we've been looking at it all wrong. The story isn't that he couldn't keep up with the modern game. The real story is that the modern game changed, and it just sort of expected him to disappear like everyone else does. But he didn't. He adapted, he survived, and he just kept scoring.
So that's what we want to leave you with. After all this, what do you think? Is he the problem player the headlines talk about? Or is he a legendary solution player who's just been misunderstood by a sport that loves easy answers? Now you've got a whole new way to think about it. The final call is yours.